Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to a deck building game for the G.I. Joe's franchise. This is by Renegade Studios. There's done other deck building games I've covered before, including Power Rangers and Transformers. So we're going to be going through the base game for this, as well as their pre-order bonus box, which is usually also available on their website for, at least for a time being. You might be able to buy it. Otherwise, usually they have free if you pre-order them. Yes, this is an interesting deck building game. If you're not familiar with what a deck building game is, the quick gist of it is essentially each player starts off with a very limited deck, which just allows you to do your basic actions, usually involving attacking or buying or recruiting new characters. You usually start with like 10 cards, very generic cards. And then you purchase better cards as you go throughout the game while trying to complete a goal. And then as you progress, every player's deck will start to become different, and more unique and more tailored to how they're going to play. As opposed to, and it's deck building in that sense, as opposed to like a constructed game like Magic the Gathering, where you sit out before the game and you build all your deck and you sit down and play. Or like just a regular card game, where everyone has a pre-built deck already, or something like where you have a shared deck, where you just everyone draws from the same deck and you have a hand of cards and you're constantly discarding. So that's kind of the base idea of it. So what's really fun about the G.I. Joe game is it is a co-op game. So like it's a co-op, which some deck builders aren't, some are, some you fight against each other, some you have it's semi-co-op, kind of like DC deck building game, where although you have a common goal to defeat a supervillain, you're still kind of competing each other for victory points. This one doesn't have that. It's 100% you're working as a team to try and defeat these stories. And this basically has two different stories you're going to play through. So there's all the different components there. And it has some very unique stuff in it. So your goal is you defeat the final story mission, you lose if your threat marker reaches the top space, or the Cobra Battalions cover 5 cards to your lineup, or you run out of cards. So it's also a big thing. Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of fly through the rules here very quick, because this is going to be a straight how-to. But you just start up, you build a lineup here of cards. These are cards you can purchase every turn. When you buy a new one, one get takes out, you replace it with a new card. So you're constantly shuffling through different cards you can get. And you set up the Cobra deck by picking acts for your story mission. So there's a bunch of different cards you're going to do. Is you're going to have so many Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 with a final mission on each one. But you're not taking every single card that's available. So you can play through this multiple times. And even though the final goal might always be the same for each act, the cards in between are going to be a little bit different. So it'll be a little different every single time. And there's our overall setup. So you have each player has their little separate area. Our threat meter over here. Some different Cobras in the mission we'll be facing. The lineup we're going to be buying cards from. A deck that's always available. And then the hanger, which is a unique aspect to this game. Yes, it's pretty interesting. So basically how the turn works is you refill the story mission if there isn't one. So if you beat it, you only beat one story mission per round, per player turn. So if you beat one, you can't just be like, oh, I have a super powerful hang, I'm going to wipe out like 3 different missions. You can only do one at a time. And then in the action phase, you do missions, and then you can recruit new cards. And in the end phase, you check for story mission effects, Cobra, bad things that happen to you. Discard your entire hand, and then you draw back up to 5. So you always discard your hand at the end of the turn, and you'll draw a brand new hand, which is kind of fun, because in that way, and I like this about deck builders, is because in that way, during another player's turn, you can sit there and kind of see what you kind of have a plan on maybe what you want to do versus drawing cards at the beginning of your turn and having to sit there at that moment decide what you want to do with these new options. Although you also help out and work with other players during their turns in this game, so you should actually have something to do during other players' turns as well. There are a couple different card types, which we'll go over when we get there. But there's Joes, there's utility, gear, basics, there are transports, there's missions. Let's use various skills. We roll dice to see if we pass or succeed on fail things. So again, I'm not going to go too much into all this. There's recruiting points. We'll talk about them as we show off the cards. And then there's a threat meter we're going to constantly keep going. And a glossary, and some FAQs. There's a special 2-player solo rules mode and an expert mode, so there's actually even more stuff. And there's some achievements you can try and do if you really want to make the game a little bit more interesting. And there's all of the wonderful people that worked on the game. And a quick refresher screen. Alright, I don't want to spend too much time going through all that. I like to look at the game itself. So, I still have the punch, everything in the punch thing. But I did separate out my cards. I just want to point this out really nicer. So, you have all your mission cards, which are tarot-sized cards. So, they fit nicely in here. And then you have all your cards, have little dividers in here. Pre-built divider slots, so you can kind of sort out your different cards to make your piles a little bit easier. Like your main cards, your Cobra cards, your different cards like that. And then you have a spot here for all your dice and tokens and stuff. So the box does hold everything very nice. If we pop out some of these tokens, so like this will sit right in there. And you got like your reserve spot. Our hanger, all that stuff will kind of fit in there. All our bigger tokens and stuff can go in this little tray. So that's very nice. Although, with like most card games, I don't know if it'll hold sleeved cards very well. Alright, so I use penny card sleeves, so they're a little bit bigger. If you buy like Ultra Pro or Dragon Shield, which are a little bit tighter fit, sometimes that makes a difference. So if I try and put these in here, they'll actually fit in. Oh, I probably should actually have this where you can see it. So I have one in here. So usually the concern with this stuff is it going to fit and is it going to bend the top of my cards? And no, it will not. There's plenty of room. And if I put it in a later one, it's going to fit in there just fine. So you can fit your sleeved cards in here, which is a great thing because that is one of the downsides to most card games. You buy it in the box, you can't fit sleeved cards in there. And then even I'm going to say the tarot cards is going to be the same thing. There's enough of a little gap right there, and there's enough gap left to right. So it should hold your sleeve cards just fine. Alright, now that we've went over that, let's just look at some of these other components we have here really quickly. And then we can start looking at the cards. So we have our threat meter. I'm going to flip this back up a little bit. Alright, so on here it's going to say for 1 to 2 players, or the other side you're playing 3 to 4 players. What you're going to do is you're going to have a couple of these different tokens here. So one of our tokens is going to be a little Cobra, which you get 2 of them. You got some little blasts as well as pass and fail piles. What you do is you start the token here on the starting round, and then every round, after a round goes by, you keep moving this up. And there are other things that might move these up, things that might move them down. This is at the end of the round. This is always going to move this up 1 to get it out of the green. End of the round where you're in the yellow, you're going to draw one of these red cards. And then at the end of the turn, you're going to draw a Cobra Battalion. And with these guys, they start covering up your HQ spots, or where you're lining up to buy cards. So here it's going to do 4 of them. Then if it gets up to here, you lose the game. And then 2 to 3 players, it just kind of switches it around a little bit. It's the same number of spots. It's just there's one of these threats in yellow at the end of the round. There's no threat up in red. So there's a little thing there. We do have this hangar. So transport vehicles are placed here when recruited or played from your hand. All Joes may provide 1 wild skill instead of their regular skills. So the hangar has to do with your vehicles, which we'll get into in just a moment. And then our last big token, or one of our last tokens here, is this big cardboard piece called the reserve spot. So this is for if you're playing solo or 2-player. It says, on your turn, you may place 1 card here for no effect. At the end of your turn, after drawing, draw this card into your hand as well. So basically, because you're playing with less players, it's giving you the option to set aside 1 card to add to your hand. Otherwise, normally your entire hand is discarded. And the idea is just that way it gets... that way you have a chance of keeping something really good. You're like, oh, I have this really good card, but it's not going to help me this turn. I don't have enough. It lets you keep playing. And then we have the end of the round marker, which just says activate any penalties, story, card effects, threat markers. And then 2, move the threat up 1. If you're playing solo, it wants you to flip it over just to keep track that you did a solo, so that doesn't happen every turn. It happens every other turn. Otherwise, you pass this to each player at the end of the round. Just see, or you flip it over, just so you know that's what's happening. Alright, then we have some dice. We're going to look at those quick. And I swear we'll get into the cards. So we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dice. Army green. So they're going to have 3 different symbols on them. These are misses, the stars are hits, and the double stars are double hits. So there's 1 double hit, there are 2 regular hits, and then there are 3 misses. So you have more of a chance to miss than you do. And when you're testing skills during the game, you're going to roll how many dice based on what you have. And you'll roll dice based on how many skill points you've accumulated, and then that will determine your successes or not. Sorry. Alright, so we're gonna get 4 player cards, of course. We're just gonna review our missions. We start phase, action phase. So you have group missions and side missions. Everyone can do a group mission. Only a person with a side mission can only do their own side missions. Then recruit cards, end phase, end of the round. After all players have taken 1 turn, perform all end of the round actions. And then the other side is just specifying how missions work. So it says choose 1 Joe and 1 transport. Add Joes to the transport people spaces. Group missions, all players may join. Side missions, only you may join. Resolve any complications, which are special type of bad guy cards. Determine your team's skill total and roll the dice equal to that number. Add up all Joe's matching skills for this mission. All Joes that do not have a matching skill provide 1 wild skill. A player with at least one Joe in the mission may play cards with the mission from their hand. In success, total hits is equal to or higher than the difficulty. So this is what makes this really fun, is when you're going to do... So if it's my turn, player 1's turn, and I'm going to go on a mission to try and beat something, any other players can join in and help me. They do not have to, but they have the option to. If they are, they're going to lose that card, so they're going to have less cards to use on their turn, but it might be worth passing a mission this turn versus not passing something on a later turn. The other thing that can also happen is if you join a mission, you also, as long as you have 1 character helping out, 1 Joe helping, you can then play other cards with the special M symbol from your hand. So that helps out as well. Alright, let's look at our starting cards. we'll start with that. We'll start with our starting cards. So these are the cards that every player is going to get. So you're going to get 4 copies of these comms, so 1 for each player. So up in the top corner here is going to show the cost of the card. All your starting cards are, of course, going to cost 0. As opposed to if I bought this sniper rifle, it's going to cost 5. And it just says it's type. And what it does is it says choose one. Discard 1 uncovered card from the lineup and replace it. Or target teammate with 3 or fewer cards in their hands draws 1 card. So this is a really, really promoting that teamwork. So if another player has been helping out on other missions, and you have this card in your hand, you can target them to get a draw extra card. So that way, so at least they get 1 extra card. So, hey, you helped me out in the last mission. Here, I just drew my new hand. Or, I know you helped out in the last mission. Before I play my turn, let me help you out. Or you can replace something if you want to buy a new card. We get 4 copies of Defuse. Again, 1 for each player. Which says, if you defeated a side mission, you get to move the threat down 1 mission. So these are kind of nice to have if you need to keep that threat mission low. Which if you fail, they go up a little bit quicker. So if you are failing, this will help you out. 4 copies of Second Effort. So this says, during a mission, you may reroll 1 die. So if you join a mission with somebody, it gives you the option to reroll 1 die. So if you get a miss, you at least get a second chance. So these are really helpful starter cards. You will eventually probably replace these cards. You might want to, just so that you have a little bit easier time drawing your better cards later on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So then we got our last starter card is we got 24 copies of the GI. So that's 6 for each one. So that's 6 cards. You get 6, 7, 8, 9, and then each player will have a signature Joe card, which will make up your 10 card deck. So it's every deck will play the same except the 1 specialized Joe leader card that you gotta start with, which makes their deck a little bit different, which is kind of helpful. So the GIs here have a couple of things going for them. So it's a starter, it's a Joe, so it can go on missions. So even if you don't have any other cards, you can always send at least these guys. If this card is part of a successful mission, you may destroy this card. So this lets you get rid of these guys very easily, which is always one downfall of deck building games, is you are supposed to get rid of your starting cards so you can draw your better cards more often, but they usually don't have a great built-in way to get rid of those cards. So I like how this one works. Basically, I can replace the G.I. Joe with any of the named Joes. And then this number right here is a recruitment cost. So when I play this card, I get 1 point to spend. So, again, with our sniper rifle that we had here, he costs 5. So I need to play 5 of these Joes to be able to buy one of him. Now, if I had the sniper rifle in my hand, I could play this for 3. So that's how that works. Alright, so those are our basic starting cards. So we were talking about getting some Leader Joe cards. So in the main deck, we have the Joes, which are blue. We have some vehicles, which are green. So I don't know why that one's in that pile. We have yellow, which are utility cards. And we have gray, which are gear cards. And it's just the colors make it nice and easy to tell what's what. So then you do is you just start out the game. You get to pick one of 6 different leader cards. So they'll say Joe and leader. There are other cards that will say leader as well. These ones are special because they have the word promote on the back. And the back of the cards are all just blue. Same as any of the other cards. Alright, so let's look at our leaders here. So we have Scarlet, who, so they all cost 0 because they're technically starter cards, but they'll give you 1 extra bonus. Then they have a little number here. This is their skill. So she gets 2 for martial arts. It says if Scarlet starts a mission, target player may destroy 1 card in their discard pile. This will help, again, get rid of some of them cards. So, what are those symbols or the skills for? So here's one of our mission cards. We're going to actually jump a little bit ahead. We're going to look at a mission card quick. So this is one of the missions we can try and complete. So it says uncover the double agent. So on the side here, it's going to have a couple different information. It's going to be a land mission. So that'll deal with our transports. We'll talk about that when I get there. When you play it, you're going to draw 2 complication cards. So they're going to stay face down when you play against this. You have to draw one. It says at the end of each round, draw 1 complication. So if you don't challenge this, you're going to have more and more complications every time. So the quicker you beat this, the easier time you're going to have. And then you have success and failure. So if you succeed, the threat goes down by 2, but you put the Baroness into play. If you fail, the threat goes up by 1, and you put the Baroness into play. If you succeed, it goes under the succeed token. If you fail, it goes under the failure token. You can't retry these, so it's kind of a all or nothing. And to succeed, you need to have 4 hits. This is where you roll them dice. So if I roll some dice here, I actually got 4. So I would succeed just off this die roll. Now if I tried it again, I rolled 4. Now this time I only got 3 hits and 1 miss, so I would fail. And this is where you have various things that are going to help you. How do you determine what you get to do? Is how many Joes you bring and what skills they have. So if I just brought Scarlet with me, she's only going to get me 1 die roll because she has, she's martial arts too, but she has nothing else. So just her being there is only going to get me 1 die roll. So that doesn't really help me because I'm not going to hit 4 with only 1 die. But we have recon and stealth. So if I played a character with one of those abilities, I would get a roll extra die. So like our next one, we have Marksman or Tech. So that's a different one there. So that's kind of what the skills are. So if we looked at our second character, we have Snake Eyes, who has stealth. So if I brought Snake Eyes to that mission, I would get to roll 2 dice for him. And then any Joe that doesn't match one of those icons always gets to roll at least 1 die. So every Joe is always worth at least 1. And then various other cards will make them a little bit better. Just try to see if I can find one that does that quick. But yeah, so there's some different things there. Alright. So that's kind of the gist of how that works. One of the other fun things about the leaders is just promoted down here. So every player also gets, with their regular characters, they get a level 6 or a 6 cost promoted leader card, which matches their regular leader, that only they can buy. So they have one leader Joe that only they have access to. And then they have 1 promoted version that only they have access to. So if you spend 6 to recruit it, and I recruit the upgraded Scarlet, now she's going to give me 2 recruit points every turn, or every time I play her. And she also has 4 martial arts and 4 tech. So she's definitely going to be, so if you get that, it's going to be very, very helpful. And that says, if Scarlet starts a mission, each player may destroy 1 card in their discard pile. So before it was, target player may destroy 1, and now it's each player may destroy 1. So she definitely gets a lot better. Alright, let's look at the rest of our leaders. We have Snake Eyes. Stealth 2. If Snake Eyes defeats a side mission, target player draws a card. His promoted version. 3 stealth, and 3 martial arts. If Snake Eyes defeats a side mission, target player draws 2 cards. We've got Duke. Put 1 GI from your discard pile into your hand. So it gets you an extra Joe or an extra card every turn. He has 2 recon. And if he upgrades, recon 3, marksman 3, put a GI from your discard pile into your hand. GIs on this mission gaining additional +1 wild skill. I love the artwork on these cards too, because it's all over the place. I like that it's not just like they took from like one thing necessarily. It's wherever we find artwork of G.I. Joes. We have Lady J, 2 tech. If there's a utility in play in this mission, +1 wild skill or draw 1 card. If we upgrade her, she has 3 tech and 3 tracker. If there's a utility in play in this mission, +1 wild skill and draw a card. We got Roadblock. Marksman 2, if there's a gear in play in this mission, 1 wild or draw 1 card. And there's Promoted. Marksman 3, Explosive 3. If there's a gear in play, 1 wild skill and draw a card. And then finally, we didn't show the regular version. We have Flint, who has Vehicles 2. If there are +2 transports in the hangar, target player draws a card. And then his Vehicles 3 and Tracker 3, if there are +2 transports in the hangar, +2 wild skills, and target player draws a card. So sweet. So those are our leaders. Alright, now we're going to look at the transports, because they're a big part of the game, and then we'll look at the rest of the regular cards. So, I stated before, we have this hangar here, which basically just sits on the table and you put cards next to it. So what the hangar does is it's always going to have the Vamp, which is their starting vehicle. So after the mission, you always return this to the hangar. Otherwise, what happens is, so if we look at let's look at another one. So if we look at the Awe Striker, so this costs 4 to recruit. Once you recruit it, it goes in your discard pile. Then when you draw it and you play it, it sits in the hangar. And then when somebody uses it during a mission, it goes back into your discard pile until you draw it again. It can sit in the hangar for multiple turns until your team decides to use it, but then it goes in the discard pile to kind of show that it's getting repaired or like ammo refilled or whatever you want to call it. So the vehicles are, so they have some that have extra skills, they have extra little bonuses, they're going to do some fun things for you, but they can't be used turn after turn after turn. The Vamp, though, will always pop back in because you always have to have a vehicle to take into a battle. Sorry, just trying to see if I can adjust this so that lighting's a little bit better there. There we go. So relevant information on this card is the little symbol here at the 4. So what that's saying is how many Joes can occupy a vehicle. So you take this out on a mission, you set it off to the side, you see we're using that, and you can put 4 Joes in it. You don't have to physically take each card and stick them on top of the vehicle card. You could just like tap your cards or turn them sideways so that each player knows who's going on that mission. Now, if I start a mission, I could choose 4 characters I want. I have a really good hand. I'm like, hey, I don't want anyone's help. But it does help to talk to other players. And they're like, hey, I have some of these cards that I can play during my turn to help. Or I have a guy who's really high cost here. So early on, maybe more than later in the game, you're probably going to ask for a lot of help. As your deck gets better, you might be able to get by with not getting any help on these missions. But yeah, you always have the option of doing this. So the other ones we can buy, which we just looked at, was the Awe Striker. So this one only holds 3 people, but it says if a leader is on this mission, you get +2 wild skill. So that gets you an extra 2 dice just for putting your leader in there. And then it has a little tank icon here and here, so it says +3 to Marksman. So what that is saying is if you put a vehicle of this symbol that matches the symbol of your mission, you get +3. This one will get you +3 to that Marksman skill. You'll always get the first one, but you get +3 if there's a Marksman. Now this one doesn't take Marksman, so that doesn't help you. But if we found one that did, such as the second one here, so now we need 4 dice and we have a Marksman. So that means if we're playing this, we already have 3 dice if we have a Marksman. So that helps us right there. So using the Awe Striker for that mission would automatically get us 3 dice. If you put a leader on there, you automatically get 2 dice. So for just using this vehicle, you'd have 5 dice right off the bat. Plus 1 for the leader, so 6 dice. It's probably enough to beat that mission without having to, necessarily might not have to play 3 other characters. Here we have the Ram. So this one it only costs 2, so it's a little bit cheaper. But it only holds 1 person because it's a motorcycle. But you get +3 to recon, and if you're playing the tank or a ground mission, you get +2 to your wild skills. We could load up the APAC, which doesn't have any special abilities, but it holds 8. So putting 8 guys on, it's going to at least, again, at 1 skill per player, it's at least 8 dice. So it's definitely helpful there. We have the Tomahawk, which holds 5, which is an aerial. So it says explosives 2, or if you're using the aerial, you get +3 to tracker. Sky Striker XP14F holds 2 players, or 2 Joes, has 2 stealth, and if you're using the flying, gets +3 wild skills. And then Skyhawk holds 2, has an aerial, +3 to vehicles, +2 to recons, and if you're playing an aerial after the mission return, is Skyhawk to the hangar. And we are going to get some aquatic ones. Killer Whale, holds Spore, 2 to Marksman. Each player on this mission may reveal the top card of their deck and add it to this mission if able. And then the Shark, which only holds 1, but it gets +2 to wild skills, +1 to vehicle. And if you're doing an underwater mission, or a water mission, I guess, it has +2 to tech. So that's definitely fun. So we'll make this even better, these vehicles, as when they have more expansions come out. Because I will get more different options. Presumably, I should say. I guess I can't guarantee that. Alright, so let's look at the rest of our regular cards. We're going to go through all of our Joes here. So we have Shipwreck and Polly, who has 2 recon. If there's a leader on this mission, +1 wild skill. Ace, who has 2 to vehicles. If he's using an airplane, he gets +1 wild skill. Muskrat, +3 to stealth. Roll 5 dice for each double hit rolled, +1 hit to this mission. Low light, Tracker 3, and against the red cards, which are what am I thinking of? Consequences. He gets +1 wild skill. You're testing against those. Okay, double check to make sure I think that's what that means. Of course, it's probably not going to specifically say that because I'm looking for it. Yeah, I don't say that exactly. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Alright, we have Zap. 3 to explosives. Double the effect on the next gear played this turn. Mainframe. 4 tech. So, like that last card here, it did say the next gear played. So when you are playing your cards, you have to play them. You're supposed to, like any deck building game, you're supposed to play them one at a time in order. Because one effect sometimes says you play this, then you get a bonus to the next thing, or you have, or like maybe to play one card, you had to previously played certain other cards. I know Marvel Legendary does this a lot. It doesn't come up as often in a game maybe like this, but this should be one of the few times it would make a difference. So sometimes players just want to like, oh, this is my hand, and let me see what we can do. And sometimes you don't want to do that. We have Mainframe, which is 4 tech. Clutch, 2 vehicle. For each other go with a vehicle still in this mission, +1 wild skill. Ripcord, 2 wild. If Ripcord defeats a side mission, -1 threat. Jinx, martial arts, 4. If Jinx defeats a story mission, return it to your hand. Lightfoot, 3 to explosives. If this mission fails, you may defeat 1 Cobra Battalion in the lineup. Lift ticket, 3 to vehicles. If there's a leader on this mission, draw 1 card. Beachhead, 4 stealth. A maximum of 2 players may assign Joes to this mission. Each player in this mission draws a card. Leatherneck, so he does have like the leader status. So there must be other things that are gonna at some point reference a leader. So it could be other characters that are also leaders. Or I shouldn't say there's that one vehicle. You got a bonus if you play the leader. There's a good thing for it. So it's other characters other than just your main character. 3 Marksman. If this mission fails, you may defeat 1 side mission you control. Alpine, 3 Tracker. If this mission fails, gain 1 card from the main deck discard pile. Airborne, 3 Recon. If an air transport is used this mission, +2 to wild skills. Cutter, 3 vehicle and 2 tech. If Cutter starts a side mission, target player may destroy 1 card in their discard pile. Deep 6, 3 recon and 2 vehicles. Water, +2 skills. Torpedo, 3 stealth, 3 martial arts. If a sea transport is used in this mission, +2 wild skill. Tunnel Rat, 3 explosions, 3 retcon. They play the red, draw 2 cards. Spirit and Freedom, 3 Tracker, 2 Marksman. For each side mission you control, it hits +1 this mission. Stalker, 3 to tracking and 3 to martial arts. If Stalkers only go on this mission, +3 wild skill. We have Rock and Roll with 4 recon and 3 marksman. Wild Bill, 3 wilds. Yellow. Oh, it's what threat area you're in. That's what that stands for. So if you're in the red threat, they gain bonuses. He's in the yellow, which is a little bit easier. You gain +1 hit this mission. We have Cover Girl, 4 explosives and 4 tech. And finally, we have Hawk, 4 marksman and 3 stealth. If you're the active player, gain +2 wild skills. Alright, it'll be interesting to see though if some of them leaders in later sets get promoted versions, and then how they treat that with those other cards being in there. If they tell you have to take them out so you don't duplicate characters. Then we have utilities, which represent various like expertise and knowledge and things like that. So we have inspiration. Each player who reveals a leader card from their hand draws a card. So you buy this for 2, and then when it goes to your discard pile, when you draw it later, you can play it. You can play it and get the ability, and then you can play it and also get your 2 bonuses, or your 2 recruit points. So you have Disarm. If you defeat a Cobra Battalion this turn, draw a card. Says Mission. Ignore the results of the die. Roll and re-roll all mission dice. If you did really terrible, you could re-roll all of them again. Reinforcements. You may gain 2 recruit if you do put the next card if you do, put the next card you recruit this turn into a teammate's hand. So this is kind of fun, so you can actually basically buy a card for another player. It also has a no solo mode. So there's a couple of cards in the game that you'll have that, basically saying you can't use these if you're playing solo, which makes sense. Recovery signal. Mission. Each player returns one of their Joes on the mission to their hand. Distraction. Mission. Change all 1-hit die results to 2 hits. You called for backup. Mission. Add 1 Joe from your hand to your teammate's side mission during their turn. At the end of the mission, return this card to your hand. Expert training. If you control a leader, get 2 recruit. Cover fire. Defeat 1 Cobra Battalion in the lineup. Knowing is half the battle, because of course we're going to have this. I love that he's standing by a camera too. Mission. Gain a number of hits equal to half the printed difficulty of this mission rounded down, then discard this card immediately. And then our final utility is Halo Jump. Mission. Target player may add 1 Joe to this mission, ignoring transport capacity. And our third type of card are gear, which of course are going to represent various gear that the Joes can use, like gas grenades. Defeat 1 Cobra Trooper you control. Proximity Mine. Mission. Discard 1 revealed complication, draw another complication, and resolve it immediately. Hacking Gear. Roll 2 dice for each hit rolled, draw 1 card. Smart Missile. Target player puts 1 card from their discard pile into their hand. Night Vision Binoculars. Mission. Reroll up to 1 die for each Joe on this mission. Rocket Launcher. Mission. Discard 1 complication attached to the story mission. Drone Strike. Choose 1 Joe on this mission. Their highest skill becomes a wild. Tranquilizer Dart. Football Cobra officers face down until the end of your turn. While they are face down, they are not in play. Detonator. Target player may destroy 1 card in their discard pile. Scuba Gear. Mission. Target player draws 2 cards. You're a water. Target player draws 3 cards instead. And the Sniper Rifle, which we saw before, has mission plus 2 wild skills. So those are all the different cards you can buy as a Joe. Then we have our complications. So complications are going to be red on the back, which will just say complications. They're going to come in 2 different styles. We're going to have regular complications. So these are cards you'll flip over if you attempt a mission. So if we look at our 1 mission, you'll draw 2 of these. They'll be face down. Now when you try the mission, you'll flip them over and see what happens. So this one could be Major Blood appears. So this will put the officer Major Blood into play, which gives you a complication, makes the mission harder. We could get a second different one like this. Like we've got Company. Add 1 Cobra Battalion to the leftmost uncovered card in the lineup. Immediately draw and resolve another complication. So that's a couple different ones you could end up getting. You could also get side missions. So when you flip over, these are now attached to whichever player flipped them over. So this is a Hiss Tank Attack, Side Mission, and Precision Strike. So these act as like little mini missions you have to try and beat. So you have to take a transport, and you only have to get 1. So it's not super hard to beat, but again, they're going to distract you or take you away from trying to complete the main mission. Because it says at the end of your turn, the threat moves up once. So you kind of have to stop and deal with this, or that threat meter is going to keep going up. And being side missions, only you can do them. You can't ask for help from other players. So we have Disrupt the Drone Strike. At the end of your next turn, fail the current story mission and discard this card. So if you don't destroy this before the end of the next mission, you automatically fail the story. Regular Attack, Side Mission. At the end of your turn, the threat goes up 1. So a lot of them are going to be that way. Override Security Systems. At the end of your turn, threat goes up 1. It's a regular complication. We have underwater entrance. Story mission, +1 difficulty. Captured. Story mission, discard 1 Joe from this mission. Don't tell me the odds. They're snake eyes, which is funny. Story mission, reroll 1 hit. Surprise attack, the threat goes up 1. Overwhelming force side mission, at the end of your turn, threat goes up 1. Search and rescue, at the end of your next turn, fail the current story mission, discard this card. Moray Seal Assault, end of your next turn, fail current story mission, discard this card. So a lot of these are going to be the exact same things, just different skills that you need or different costs. We have the Fang Squadron, at the end of your turn, threat goes up 1. Anonymous Tip-Off, each player shuffles 1 Cobra Trooper into their deck. And when you draw 1, then it's automatically attacking you. Nobody ever knocks. Story mission, you cannot use utility cards to affect this mission. Ambush, story mission, +1 difficulty, immediately draw and resolve another complication. We have Destro appears, put Destro into play. Storm Shadow appears, put Storm Shadow into play. Uninvited guests. At the end of your turn, +1 threat. Entrench side mission, at the end of your turn, up 1 threat. Night Raven attack, at the end of your turn, fail the current story mission and discard this card. Detected, they found us. Add 1 Cobra Battalion to the leftmost uncovered card in the lineup. Immediately draw and resolve another complication. And the last one is Higher Ground. Story mission, if the threat fails, double the threat meter modifier. So another thing to just pay attention on the bottom of these cards is there's going to be a number in there. So these are 3s. There's some of them are 2s. We have some 1s. So basically what that is the higher the numbers, this goes to what act they'll end up adding into for what you're playing as. So when you're playing through the first act, you're only going to play with these cards with the number 1 in the bottom. So you start with these guys. So they're a little bit easier, lots of complications. The side missions are all pretty low, they're 2s. So you can deal with them at a reasonable pace. Then when you get to Act 2, then you add any of the Act 2 stuff, which is going to be a little bit harder. It's where Destro can come into play, you got some 3s. And then when you get to Act 3, you add in the harder stuff. So that way you're not drawing a one you have to have a 5 hit with an airplane on like your first mission. So you're not going to draw something that's going to be impossible. So it's a nice, good build-up mechanic. Then the other 2 types of cards, or 3 types of cards, we're going to get some with blue backs. These are our Cobra Troopers. And the reason they're blue is in case they get shuffled into your deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 12 of these guys. So we have 12 of these guys. So if they pop up during a complication, or they get put into your deck, or for some reason they get drawn, they're very easy side mission to defeat. They cost 1, any skill. So when gained, place into your discard pile. Play this card during your turn. If this card is not defeated by the end of your turn, discard it. Yeah, so all it's going to do is it's going to pop up. You draw it. So when you draw it, you have to automatically play it. So it's going to basically take up one of your 5 cards you draw each turn. And if you don't defeat them, you're just going to go back into your discard pile, and it's going to keep recycling. So you get like 2 or 3 in these, you might end up just basically they're not going to hurt you during your turn, except they give you less cards to play. So these are our Cobra Troopers. Then we also have 5 copies of the Cobra Battalion, so 1 to cover up each spot on the board. So these guys are 2, they have 1 skill. Players cannot interact with covered cards. So they'll cover up your cards that you could purchase. So basically you have to again stop and deal with them, or you can work on the side mission. Just, again, they're complications. These go in you have a special Cobra deck called Obey Cobra. And then the final bunch of enemies we have are our officers. So these are group missions. So these kind of guys, they pop out, they sit up by the mission. The mission cards, and then everyone can try and take them out. But again, like everything else, they're just gonna make it harder. If you don't deal with them, the mission's gonna be harder to beat. So here we have Storm Shadow. So there's assign Storm Shadow to a player as a side mission. So he already makes it harder. At the end of your turn, threat moves up by 2. Major Bud. He has, at the start of each player's turn, place 1 Cobra Battalion and uncover card in the lineup with a cost of 5+. Zartan. To defeat a story mission, you must match the difficulty exactly. Dr. Mindbender. At the start of the group mission, discard the top card of the main deck. If it is a Joe, the mission has +2 difficulty. The Baroness. Story missions must be started by a leader. Destro. Reroll all double hit dice results against the story mission at the end of each round. Draw 1 complication. And then finally, of course, we have Cobra Commander. At the end of each round, discard all uncovered main deck cards in the lineup. Story mission +3 difficulty. So these guys are going to make the game very difficult for you, which they should. Alright, then the final thing for the main game we're going to look at are the actual missions. So there are 2 story packs in the game. There's Mission 1, which is the Mass Device, which is based off it's a reimagining for the card game purposes, but it's based off the classic storyline from the cartoon. And then Mission 2 is Operation Total Control, which is a brand new story for this game, which is actually really cool. There's enough G.I. Joe storylines they could try and adapt little things here and there, but that is definitely fun. So all the missions on the back are going to say Mission 1, so you can tell which one they are, versus Mission 2. So that's easy enough to keep track of. They'll have their symbols on the back to say which act we're in. And then you can see there's a gold backer, which is your final card, and just a regular reg one, which is your current objective, or your regular ones you shuffle. Like I said, when you're playing this, you only draw a couple of each. So in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If there's 5 in here, I think you play it like 3 or 4, depending on how many players you have. Alright, so we looked over this one. This is Uncover the Double Agent. So it uses ground. You draw 2 complications. End of each round, draw 1 complication. So the longer it takes to defeat this, you're going to keep making it harder and harder. Has a hit of 4, -2 success, put Baroness into play, or +1, put Baroness into play. And I'm not going to read the flavor text on all these. You can go ahead and read those if you'd like. But we have Protect the Satellite, which says when this card enters play, add up to 2 Cobra Battalions to the lineup. So definitely can make that a lot harder if you don't get rid of those guys. So +2 or -2 threat, depending if you succeed or fail. Prevent the satellite launch. At the end of each player's turn, they gain 1 Cobra Trooper. Succeed, -2 threats. Or +1, put Baroness into play. Find the tracking device. Put Major Blood into play. Success, -1 threat. Each player draws a card. Or failure, each player gains 1 Cobra Trooper. And then Decode Cobra's Secret Transmission. Place the yellow token, hit token, on 3 spaces above the threat marker. If this threat marker reaches this token, this mission immediately fails. So that way it just kind of keeps track of that. So success, -1 threat, each player draws a card, or failure, +1, adding face down complication to the next story. And then the end of Act 1 will be Rescue the Scientist. Add complication to this mission equal to the number of players. At the end of each round, each player gains 1 Cobra Trooper. Success -1 threat. Each target player draws 2 cards. Or failure +2 threat. Each player gains 1 Cobra Trooper. So that's our first act. Our second act is scan for the secret location. At the start of each player's turn, add 1 Cobra Battalion to the lineup. So -2 threat, each player draws 1 card, or +2 threat, attach 1 face down complication to the next story mission. Escape on jetpacks. At the end of each player's turn, draw 1 complication. -2 put Zartan into play, or +2 and put Zartan into play. Destro attacks. Put Destro into play. And then success is -1 threat. Target player draws 2 cards. And then destroy all vehicles in the hangar and used on this mission except the van. So here's also another interesting thing to point out with some of these missions. So this says Marksman or Martial Artist. So if you choose Marksman, then any character you play, any Joe you play, the Marksman skill gains a bonus. But if they have Martial Artists, they don't gain anything. They don't gain any extra dice. You have to pick one or the other. Versus, if we look at the next one, this is Tech and Stealth. So everyone with Tech gains a bonus, everyone with Stealth gains a bonus. So it's an interesting little thing to keep an eye on. So we have Snake Robot Attack. At the end of each round, or in each player's turn, they gain 1 Cobra Trooper. So either -2 threat or +2 threat. And then you have ones like this that are just recon, so they don't get that second bonus. The Joe's Surrender. At the end of each round, +1 threat. If there's no leader on this mission, +3 difficulty. Success, -3 threat. Each player destroys one of the highest cost Joes in their hand. Or failure, +1 put Baroness into play. And then our final is grab the rare crystal element. Put Baroness into play. This mission has +1 difficulty for each mission in the success pile. If you succeed, -2 threat, defeat all Cobra Battalions in the lineup. Or +2 threat, shuffle Cobra officers and put 1 at random into play. And then our Act 3 is we're going under the sea. This mission has +1 difficulty for each mission in the failure pile. At the end of each player's turn, draw 1 complication. Success, -2 threat, each player draws a card, or +1 threat, each player destroys the top card of their deck. Secure the rare liquid element. At the end of each round, each player's turn, add 1 Cobra Battalion to the lineup. -2 put Baroness into play, or +2 put Baroness into play. Underwater Mayhem. At the end of each player's turn, draw 1 complication. -2, the player who started the mission may recruit 1 card at no cost, or +2 put Major Blood into play. The Meteoric Rise. Place the yellow threat marker token 2 spaces above the threat marker. If this threat marker reaches the hit token there, this mission immediately fails. Success, -1 threat. Target player draws 3 cards, or +2 threat. Secure the rare or volcanic element. At the end of each player's turn, up to threat 1. Succeed, -2 threat. Each player draws a card, or +1 puts Storm Shadow into play. And then our final act of the mission is destroy the mass device. Put Cobra Commander into play. If the threat meter is not in red, also put Destro into play. Succeed, you win, or failure, +2 to the threat, this mission remains in play. So basically it's going to stay there until either you completely lose, or you eventually beat it. So that is our first set of missions. Mission 2 is we have Decode Cobra's Secret Message. At the end of each player's turn, they gain 1 Cobra Trooper, -1 threat, target player draws a card, or +1 shuffle 3 random Act 3 cards into the complication deck. Ooh boy. Find the location of the hidden battalion. At the end of each round, draw 1 complication. -1, target player draws a card, or +1, add 2 Cobra battalions to the lineup. Repel Cobra's attack. At the end of each player's turn, discard your rightmost card in the lineup, -2 or +2 threat. Uncover the Spy in Washington, D.C. Cards in the lineup have +1 cost. Succeed, -2 threat, remove Baroness from the game. Or +1, add 1 face down complication to the next story mission. Expose the Truth. Place the yellow threat token 3 spaces above the threat marker. When you reach the token, this mission immediately fails. Success, each player draws 1 card, or draw 2 complications. And then end of Act 1 are no Joes. Place Dr. Mindbender into play. At the end of each round, threat goes up 1. Success, target player draws 2 cards, return Dr. Mindbender to the opposite stack. Or, if you fail, +2 threat, this mission remains in play. We have an Unlikely Ally. At the end of each player's turn, they gain 1 Cobra Trooper. If you're in the green, this mission has +1 difficulty. If in yellow, has +1 difficulty. Success, -1 threat, remove Destro from the game. +2, add Baroness, put Baroness into play. Infiltrate Top Secret Cobra Facility. Shuffle the Cobra officer stack and place 1 at random into play. Success, -2 threat, each player draws a card, or place Dr. Mindbender into play. Analyze the blueprints. At the start of each player's turn, add 1 Cobra battalion to the lineup. In the green, at the start of each player's turn, draw 1 complication. Success, -1 threat, target player may gain any 1 gear in the lineup. Or failure, shuffle the Cobra officer stack and place 1 at random into play. Save the Prime Minister. Add 1 complication to this mission for each mission in the success pile. At the end of each player's turn, they gain 1 Cobra Trooper. -3 threat, add 1 face down complication in the next story, or +1 threat, place Major Blood into play. It was Zartan in disguise. Place Zartan into play. At the end of each round, +1 threat. Success, -2 threat, or failure, draw 1 complication for each player in the game. End of Act 2 will be prevent the Cobra attack at Big Ben. Excuse me. I like that this one uses all 3 different forms of transport. Place Zartan to play. Zartan cannot be defeated until this mission is complete. At the end of each round, +1 threat. Succeed, -2 threat, search the complication deck and destroy 1 card of your choice. Failure, draw 1 complication, this mission remains in play. Act 3. Sneak into the Cobra space station. No wild steals can be used on this mission. At the end of each round, draw 1 complication. Succeed, -2 threat, or failure, place Major Blood into play, place Baroness into play. Disable the laser grid. Yellow and green add 2 face down complications to this mission. At the end of the round, each round +1 threat. Success, -2 threat, target player draws a card, or failure, draw 3 complications. A snake eats its own tail. At the end of each round, draw 1 complication. Red, at the end of each round, draw 1 complication. Success, -2 threat, target player draws 2 cards. Failure, shuffle the Cobra officer stack, place 1 into play at random. Fight the Cobra Space Guard. Shuffle the Cobra officer stack and place at 1 random into play. At the end of each round, discard the two rightmost uncovered cards in the lineup. -2 threat, or +1, add 1 Cobra Battalion to the lineup for each player in the game. Sabotage the space station. This mission has +1 difficulty for each player in the game. At the end of each round, draw 2 complications. Success, -2 threat, each player draws a card, or +2, each player discards 1 card. And then the final act of 3, destroy the mind control device. Place Cobra Commander and Dr. Mindbender into play. At the start of each player's turn, add 1 Cobra Battalion to the lineup. Success, you win. Failure, +2 threat, this mission remains in play. Alright, so those are 2 different story missions. So future expansions will add additional stories. They might be, I think the second expansion adds 1, and then I think after that, I don't know if they're going to keep always, or adds 2, I believe. Now, I don't know if every expansion after that's always add 2, or if they might do micro expansions, they only add 1, or maybe some just add more complications or what. So I have to see how they do that. So that's all we have for the current G.I. Joe deck building game there. We're going to really quickly, though, look at the bonus box. So this is bonus box number 1. So it's going to come with constructible hanger, alternate round marker, and Don Monroe promo and promoted cards. So if we dump these out, so we are going to get some cardboard here. So I'm going to pause the video and build that quick so you can see what that looks like. And then we get a set of promo cards. So we're going to get, let's zoom up on this quick. We have a new Joe Leader card, Don Marino, 2 stealth. If there's +1 Cobra officer in play, +1 wild skill. If none, draw 1 card. And then her promoted version is 3 stealth, 3 martial arts, +1 wild skill for each Cobra officer in play. If none, draw 2 cards. And discard 1 of them. So that's fun. Extra little character to use. I say, if nothing else, you can always put just regular 1 to play. So I'll be right back 1 second. Alright, before I show off the hanger, I forgot to bring up the expert mode. So we have Obey Cobra now with the expert mode. So there's 6 expert mode cards, which are just to make the game more difficult. It says when a story mission enters play, you add 1 Cobra Battalion. End of round, draw a complication. The end of the round, discard 2 uncovered cards from the lineup. Shuffle a Cobra Trooper into your starting deck. Cobra officers have +1 difficulty, or story missions have +1 difficulty. So just to make the game a little bit harder, you can add those in there. Alright, so what we built here was the hanger. So this is to replace, if you don't want to use the regular hanger, which in a normal game, we just sit here on the table and then you place your cards. You know, oh, these are the different cards I have sitting in my hanger. So if you buy the promo pack, or if you got it with a pre-order when they do offer them, sometimes they re-release them. You get this little hanger thing. It's if you glue it together, I'm sure it's nice and sturdy. But right now, like, if I move this too much, if I'm not kind of pinching this when I pick it up, it's gonna fall apart. So it's not the best. If you have a way, like, it'll probably fit in my storage box, the way it is now. But if not, so this could hold up to 5 different cards, which are kind of nice because if you have a good central location where everyone's kind of playing on the same side, it lets you see your cost. If you need to know it, but lets you see your mission stuff. The only downside is you can't see any of the effects right away. So maybe if you play this game enough and you know what everything does off the top of your head, great. But if you're still playing early on, it's probably more of a pain to have to keep pulling these out. Neat little aesthetic, yes. Is it worth buying the promo set just for that? No, I would say not. But yeah, it's a neat little extra add-on, which is what Renegade likes to do with their promo packs. They usually give you an extra couple of cards, something exclusive, and then they give you like a little extra bonus thing that you can add on to your character. You know, you can add on to your game. Like the Power Rangers one came with extra combat health dials, and then extra Zord Bay for holding your card, which is kind of neat. Was it necessary? No, not at all, but it was still fun. The other thing you're going to get is this alternate turn marker. So this is going to be the exact same stuff that's on this one. They just kind of spiced it up a bit. Then the back side is yellow. So they just kind of want to brighten it up. So it's just an alternate one. It doesn't do anything different. Just a little bit more colorful. It's a little bit shinier instead of smooth. So that's kind of fun there as well. Alright, so that's what we got for the G.I. Joe deck building game, as well as the bonus pack. Check out the other Renegade deck building games, Transformers, Power Rangers. See how they play. They play completely different. Or check out other games by Renegade Studios, like that I also done videos for, all the Power Ranger games, or Terror Below, or check out any of the other videos on my channel. See you guys later. Bye.